Hello BookTube, it's Leah Cooper here, and today I'm bringing you my answers to the TBR tag. I was trying to do this video by Kelsey over at the Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I have said that like 3 times, and as I'm saying it every single time, I'm convinced that I'm saying the words out of order. Like I can hear them leaving my mouth, and I'm like, that's not the right order, and then it is. But I say it weird. I will leave a link down to her video where she answered the TBR tag as well as the intimidating TBR tag. I'm just going to do the TBR tag for now. I will probably do the intimidating tag later when I have time to like pull books off my physical TBR. I don't have the time right now. Let's just jump right into the questions. Question number 1 is, how do you keep track of your TBR pile? I don't really, to be honest. I own more books than I have read. Of the books that I own, more of them are unread than read. I mean, I do own a lot of books that I have read, but most of those are from, I would say, pre-college days. So things I read as a kid, teenager, etc. However, I didn't read a whole ton in my late teens and my early to mid 20s. That didn't stop me from buying books. I would continue to buy books and just not read. So I own a lot of stuff that I haven't read. Same kind of goes for Kindle. I tend to collect. I have more Kindle ebooks than I've actually read. Also, I'm not great at using Goodreads. This is the first year that I've really started to use Goodreads, and like my to read on Goodreads is stuff that I might own. A lot of stuff I don't own because it's a way to bookmark things that I'm interested in for my memory, so that I can like go through it and be like, oh, maybe I should like check that out from the library or something. So I think my Goodreads TBR is more stuff I don't own, and it's not in any particular order. Like, yeah, nothing's in order. I don't have a TBR shelf because like all of my books are in storage on top of that, and I don't really have a queue because I really like monthly TBRs genuinely, because I'll just kind of pick a couple of books that I want to read that month or I want to read soon, and I'll just kind of work through them, and I'm not really thinking too far ahead on that. Question number 2, is your TBR mostly print or ebook? I don't actually know how many books I own, and I don't know the specific number of unread books that I own. So it's hard to say. On my Kindle at this moment, I have 55 books marked as to be read, which doesn't sound right, to be honest. Well, maybe. I really hate how on my Kindle, it doesn't take loaned books that the loan has ended like off of my all category. Oh, it's annoying. So maybe I only have like 55, 60 ebooks that are unread. I suspect my physical TBR is larger than that. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I had like 100 physical books to read. And that's not even counting all the books that I don't own that I want to get around to reading. I mean, that number is probably astronomical. Question number 3, how do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? I think incidentally I am quite a mood reader. I definitely go through like genre phases where I kind of tend to maybe skew more towards classics or more towards speculative fiction and read in kind of one of those areas. A lot of times my monthly TBRs revolve around whatever books I have out from the library. So I will try to check out things that I really want to read, and then I will build the rest of my TBR around like how many books I have out from the library, how much time I have, and what I honestly just kind of want to read. And I often do stick pretty close to that monthly TBR. The monthly TBR is kind of a spur of the moment thing, but I usually stick to it. Sometimes what gets read has to do with what is available from my library, and genuinely speaking, I will try to read books in a series pretty close together just because I have a bad habit of forgetting stuff. Question 4, a book that's been on your TBR list the longest. I mean, who knows? Because I don't keep track of things. I don't even know all the stuff that I've purchased. Gosh, I'm trying to think if there's like a book I bought as a kid that I know I still own that I haven't read. I feel like there probably is. There's a bunch of Star Wars books that I still own. It's like Star Wars Extended Universe books that I bought when I was a preteen, early teen, that I haven't finished reading because I only got about halfway through the like post original trilogy extended universe books as of what had been written in like 2004, right? Obviously there's a lot more of them now. You know, like this I've had a really long time on my like actively wanted to read it, just never gotten around to reading it, and I've owned it for a while. This omnibus came out in 2006. This is the Star Wars Rogue Squadron Omnibus Volume 1, and it's a bunch of collected graphic novels from the Rogue Squadron graphic novel comics. So yeah, this has been on there for a really long time. So it's probably a Star Wars book. Question 5. A book you recently added to your TBR. Monstrous? I mean, I'm currently reading this. It's been on my TBR, though, I guess, for a while. Question 6. A book in your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover. I really don't cover buy. I have to read the blurb and usually the first chapter before I decide to like... The thing that gets me interested in a book is the blurb or a catchphrase or like the tropes that go into it, like how you would tag it if it was a Tumblr post. That's what's going to get me interested in a book, not really the cover, because tons and tons of beautiful covers are to books that are, I think, boring as fuck. So that's a terrible metric by which to choose books. Question 7. A book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. I kind of did a unhaul when I moved the last time. Like I resifted through all my books, and I got rid of a lot of stuff that I just thought I would never get around to reading. This one I actually purchased a couple of months ago. Like this was in my August book haul, I think. It's Heart of Gold by Michael Pryor. It's the second book in a series. It's YA, and I thought it'd be a really fun, not addition, but like it's like fantasy, alternate world. I think some steampunk elements, magic. There's a prince in this one. But I got the first book from the library and I started trying to read it, and it's pretty dreadful in my opinion. Like it's kind of insufferable. So I went ahead and returned it, and I don't know if I'm gonna get back around to reading that and therefore be able to pick up this one. I want to like it, but I really didn't care for what I read of the first book, so might be that. Another possibility is the Book of Strange New Things, which I don't have a copy of because I checked it out from the library. It's by Michelle Faber. I want to like this book. I want to get into it. I read maybe 40 or 60 pages of it. I might come back to it. Like, I tried reading it so early on in the beginning of this year, and then I had to pause it. It's on pause in my book tracking system and on Goodreads. And I want to come back to it. I've been thinking about maybe trying an audiobook of it. But I just don't know because it's so religious. Like, obviously, I knew it was about a preacher who goes to an alien planet to spread the word of Jesus to aliens, which is just says so much about the absurdity of the evangelical whatever is going on in their heads. And I knew that was the plot and gonna be the themes. I just wasn't expecting how like earnestly Protestantly evangelical it was. So I don't know if I'll be able to get around to, if I want to go back to it and try to stomach it. I just don't know. Because I don't know where, I might have to like look it up and see how like the end, I might have to look up the ending just to see like where Michelle Faber goes with the religious aspect of it, so I can decide if it's something I want to invest a lot of time in, because it's a chunky book, so we'll see. I can't even like deal with that book right now though. Question 8. An unpublished book on your TBR that you're excited for. Well, this would have been The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden, which I have an arc of, which I am reading, but it came out already. It came out like a week ago, and I haven't finished reading the arc. And I still want to use that answer because I think more people should actually read The Bear and the Nightingale. I know a lot of people have hauled it, have like put it on their TBRs or whatever because it has a beautiful cover. The UK cover is gorgeous. And that, of course, is the first book. The Girl in the Tower is the sequel. But I feel like not a ton of people have actually read it. I feel like a lot of people have just hauled it or talked about it or said they want to read it or held it up as, look at this beautiful cover. But like, more people should genuinely read it because it's a pretty rad book. And so far, I'm really liking the sequel. Technically, it's out already, but whatever. I'm using it as an answer. I don't care. Question 9. A book on your TBR that basically everyone's read but you. Probably a lot of books. Cloud Atlas is on my TBR. I think a lot of people have read that. I'm looking at my Goodreads shelves right now. The First Temeraire book. I think a lot of people have read that. Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine and Valente. I feel like for people who aren't like diehard Valente fans, they are more, like, a lot of them are more likely to have read Fairyland series. I have read like everything else she's written but that, and I do want to read it. I just haven't gotten around to it because there's like 6 or 7 books in the series, and I want to be able to like sit down and kind of read them pretty close together, and I haven't had that chunk of time recently. Question 10. A book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you. People don't tend to recommend books to me. Oh, so many people recommended, well, I've already read it, but so many people recommended American Gods to me. In general, people tend to recommend Neil Gaiman to me, which is a mistake because I don't like Neil Gaiman. Nope. Question 11. A book on your TBR that you're dying to read. I'm really tired and overwhelmed with work and stuff right now, so I'm honestly not really dying to read anything. My reading is glacial right now. Question 12. How many books are on your TBR shelf? Who the fuck knows? So those are some questions about my TBR. I'm a super scattered, disorganized person. I own a lot of shit. I have no clue how much I own. I kind of read just whatever I want. I have a bad habit of just checking out a lot of stuff from the library, and currently I'm not really reading much of anything, so the whole TBR situation is ground to a halt either way. I'm not going to tag anyone in this just because I don't know who has done this or not. If you are watching this and you want to answer some questions about your TBR, or you've never talked about how you do your TBR before, consider yourself tagged. Let me know you've done the tag, and I would love to watch it. As always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, or any of the other videos I make, feel a little cranky in this tag, but I'm not really reading anything. So my TBR pile is just huge and unmoving, and that's a little bit scary to think about. And I had been doing a really good job of not thinking about it until I actually started talking about it. Oops. Also, I would just love to actually be in a living situation where I could have all of my bookshelves up and all of my books out. Like, being reminded of how far away I am from that moment is so frustrating. I cannot tell you how much it sucks to have all of my books in storage. It just sucks. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can follow all of my sort of acerbic videos about books, and I will see you guys in my next video.